detail like, can a stretcher go down the staircase? Can it actually, the length of the stretcher, is the staircase wide enough to take that stretcher? Will it go past it? Right down to that, to the electronic access, to the monitoring, to the cameras, to the sight lines, to the sand-based outfield, where we don't have a rained out match at all, and many innovations. And of course, my favorite innovation, where the whole stadium is guarded by guard dogs rather than people. So we have a kennel for 27 dogs who are very precisely trained, and therefore we have the luxury of not having a fence or a barricade, which is a very common feature in every stadium. They have a large barrier, which because they're expecting people to jump in and go into the ground and so on. We have our trusted four-legged friends. While you are watching the match, they are watching you. And we have had 20 matches without any incident, and I think this is an association, the Maharashtra Cricket Association, is proud of their asset. And the whole credit goes to that association and the way they conducted themselves as a team to build what I think is one of the finest stadia in this country. It's just half built. We have the second part of it to build, and it's a completely captive stadium. We have our full power plant. We are recycling our water. It's a beautiful stadium. I mean, for those of you who are interested in it, you should come and see it on a non-match day to see how many things are behind the stadium to make it run. I mean, as you know, this was a brand new facility, and we opened up to a grand event like the IPL, and we have had 20 uninterrupted matches where nothing has gone wrong, whether the lights went out or the generators failed or the toilets didn't work or whatever. And I think it is something that Pune and Maharashtra should be proud of.
You said something more is coming up?
Yeah, we had, we had planned the stadium in 2 phases because it was not possible to do, it's not possible to raise the money in one stage. So it's the second part of the stadium is still to come up, which will essentially be the other stands, the upper stands on the east, west and north side, and also a club and facilities recreation center which will come up in the second phase.
And parking?
Parking is something that we can't really do anything about because of the premium on land, price. You see, how many cars are you going to cater to? I mean, you're talking of 40,000 people who are coming to the stadium. Now let's say that 15,000 come on 2-wheelers. We can give them 7, 8, 10,000 2-wheelers. But the rest of the people who come in cars, if you're looking at parking, 3 people to a car and 20,000 people, how many cars do you need? You need 7, 8,000. It's not possible to have that kind of space available at any reasonable. You can do everything, but how are you going to achieve financial viability? Because for 15 days of the year, you will use the multi-level car park. For the rest of the year, it will lie idle. So that is a problem. That's a chronic problem, not only at this stadium but everywhere else. What has happened is that maybe at a place like Bombay, the city has grown around the stadium. So there are transport mechanisms like the local train and all of that. We had meetings with the local development authority, and there is a proposal of a ring railway for which there is a station planned close to the stadium. Now these are things that essentially we can't, as an association, these are way beyond our capabilities. In fact, you will be surprised to note that even the 2 access roads have been built by the Maharashtra Cricket Association at their cost. Now this is basically a public amenity which was supposed to be built by the government. In fact, it was to be built right up to Lonavala as a service road, but they finally said we don't have it. It came to a point that they said, if you want to build it, you have find the money and build it, otherwise we don't know how you will reach your stadium. So we had to find the money somewhere and build it. So the partnership between the government and the planning and the other authorities, there's a lot that needs to happen, there's a lot that needs to improve.
I think if we look at the 3 streams that we talked about in the last 45 minutes or so, your guiding factors between passion, perseverance, and excellence. Maybe you want a little bit kind of tell the young audience as to what.
That is for
they should
them
do.
to decide. I mean, I won't speak about what drives me myself. But yes, if you do something, do it well. Otherwise, don't do it. That's the general guiding. If you, these are all very tall words for me, and I'm just a simple guy who makes tinkers with loudspeakers. But yes, I mean, if you do something, do it to the best of your abilities. Otherwise, don't do it. That's the core philosophy, if you can call that. I mean, if you're doing something, let's do the best. Otherwise,
Best in
let's
the
not.
marketplace.
Yeah. Otherwise, let's
Nobody else
not
could
do
have
it.
done
Yeah.
better. So just a summary, I mean, the last word that I wanted to have was you were kind of born in a family that had all the financial strengths to do things. For someone who comes from, a middle class family, which most of us here are, would the approach be different, or do you think we all can?
No, that is a very valid point. I mean, we had the fortune to have, that a bit of backing from the core business or the family business. But to be honest, there was a bit of backing, there was a bit of reassurance. But there was not the total kind of unlimited backing. So we had our own share of problems. We had huge financial difficulties. We had huge, and that is something that everybody will face at some point of time if you are building up something from scratch or you're building up something new. But you just have to believe in yourself, and I think the solutions come to you rather than you having to go to them. That's what I have always experienced in my life.
I appreciate. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and questions, please.
Yeah, Ajay, first of all, congratulations on building a global brand out of India at a time where information, knowledge, awareness about global markets used to be very slow. Even today, companies struggle to build brands and products specifically, right, for a global market. So first of all, congratulations. I think my question is more from a marketing point of view. At that point of time, again, like I said, no information, internet is not there. How did you go around segmenting and identifying customers? Because world is a very large place, right? And without proper information, understanding which countries, which segments, how do you tap your customers and how do you market to them? I think it would have been very difficult questions. And it would be very interesting to hear some thoughts from you on how did you achieve that?
Yeah, that's a very nice question to answer. I mean, we were as lost as the question that you have asked. So we had made a product and we had to find a market for it. Fortunately, over the years, because of my interest in this business, I had come across and met a lot of people who were directly, indirectly in some part of the audio marketing or manufacturing chain. So I had a few connections, and they in turn had connections leading to the press, to the hi-fi press, to the various marketing channels. So what we did is that we said that, look, this would be a very interesting story that if there's a high-end audio company from India, and why not go to somebody and tell them that, look, do you believe in this? Can it be happening? So we went to, in the old days, I mean, there's a very old magazine, those who are interested in classical music would know, called Gramophone. The magazine is as old as recorded music. It's about 70 years old. And there was a beautiful gentleman who used to edit the equipment side of it. It was an elderly gentleman called John Bowick. And we got the contact to him through one of my friends. And we said, John, would you like to come to India and in search of the Holy Grail? So I said, what, India? Are you sure? I said, yes, John, come. We'll fly you out to India, come here. And he came here and he was so impressed that he wrote a fabulous article about what's happening in India and about this product. So this was one of the ways that we did it. Then, of course, there are always the big trade shows that happen. And there used to be the biggest hi-fi show at that time was one, of course, was CES. in Las Vegas, which was not just limited to audio, it was the